Hey guys, so the build that I used in that video looks something like this. And the goal here is to run infinite bullet without any downtime. So you want to minimize cooldown and maximize duration. So I have massive sanguification. This allows me to get life orbs and use the massacre weapon immediately off the bat. Cooldown, duration, cooldown, DPS, cooldown, HP, cooldown, skill power, and defense. The second most important part of this build is the reactor. Here I'm running a cooldown reactor for the Python with non-attribute and dimension skills. It's not best in slot because I'm running cooldown and heal. Best in slot would have been cooldown and one of the skill multipliers. If you don't have a cooldown reactor, this build will not work. Here I'm going to swap it for a random one, and as you can see, the cooldown is now 10.3 seconds and you won't be able to run infinite ammo without any downtime. Luckily, farming for reactors is pretty easy. All you have to do is go into maps, hit this difficulty level rewards, and it'll take you to this menu system. You want to filter for your ammo type, your attribute type, and your skill. Unfortunately, this week we don't have any farmable locations, but this is on a 1 week cycle, so hopefully next week we'll get something that we can farm. So this is the equipment that I use. It's the set from the Devourer. You get 5.7% duration increase, but in the case of this build, it doesn't really matter because I can already cycle without any downtime. So the weapon that I used is the Python. The reason why I chose the Python is because by itself, it has the fastest firing rate for an ultimate weapon. And it also has 2 times weak point damage. So as long as you're able to aim, then you should be able to benefit from this. Here for the weapon, I'm trying to stack as much weak point as I can, as well as damage. For the modules, I use recoil. This actually helps with making this gun into a laser. Damage. Mental focus, I'll get back to it in a second. We have fire rate, damage, more to make it into a laser. And this one I just threw in because it has a firearm attack +1. I'm using this as a damage. So the reason why I chose mental focus is because the 2 seconds doesn't actually get canceled when you use Gley's infinite ammo. So it doesn't count as a reload if you cast a spell. You're able to get to 150 stacks real quick because you're running such a high fire rate. The reason why I took recoil reduction is because it's a quality of life improvement. It just makes the entire aiming process a lot easier, especially because you're holding down the firing button and it just jumps all over the place if you don't have it. Accuracy doesn't really matter here because you'll be holding down the firing key. The reason why I have it is because the second attribute is damage. This build also gives the flexibility of swapping out the elemental skill for whatever is weakest for the Colossus. Here I have chill enhancement as an example, but for the Devourer I actually used electric enhancement. And for the weapon options, I'm running firearm attack, weak point damage, recoil, and Colossus. Ideally, you want to max out firearm attack, weak point damage, and Colossus. And the 4th one could be anything really. Here's a page of all the stats for my gun and my character. Pause the video here if you want to take a closer look. In case if you don't have the Python, alternatives would be the Blue Blood, the Firefly, or the Thunder Cage. I personally like the Firefly the best because by default, it's got a pretty fast fire rate and it's also got the 20% critical hit rate. The Blue Blood is also a great alternative. It shoots a bit faster. It has a lower crit hit rate, but a higher crit hit damage to offset. So to me, they do about the same. And finally, if you don't have either of these 2 guns, the Thunder Cage is also a good alternative. Here, the base fire rate is much slower, but it's got a much higher crit hit rate and a much higher crit hit damage. So you can stack the crit. And here is the actual run. So to start, you want to Frenzy, get the orbs, then swap over to Massacre. Next, you want to roll as quickly as you can to the boss. Enable infinite ammo, then start firing as you walk towards the boss. The reason you want to do this, you start gathering stacks for mental focus. And then all you have to do is pop his kneecaps, pop his shoulders, and get back on his kneecaps again. And that's how you do the 11 seconds. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.